The worst person in the world, this is our next topic, is Keith Olbermann. And oh man, I'm on YouTube now and just look, they got it's like 24-hour Trump watch. Look at this. Trump returns back to Mar-a-Lago. So he went to New York and he flew back to Florida. So this is nonstop. This is all they're talking about. Now, what I wanted to discuss, how many of you all probably know who Keith Olbermann is? Now, Keith Olbermann is a former broadcaster. He was on ESPN. Before that, he was on MSNBC, but he covered baseball a lot. I know for a time on NBC, he did cover some stuff in the NFL, but that's how he got his start. And Olbermann got under fire today over the weekend after the National College basketball women's game championship between LSU versus Ohio, the NCAA women's championship. And there, of course, were commenting on our sister Angel Reese and her trash talking of your Caitlin Clark. Now, interestingly enough, I could guess I could kill two birds with one stone. Everybody, of course, has been complaining and talking about Caitlin Clark and how she was treated by Angel Reese. I did a video that Sunday talking about it, how they're going in on the girl, talking about, oh, she's taunting, oh, she's bad sportsmanship, classless. But when you saw Caitlin Clark doing the same thing, trash talking, nothing happened. Nobody said anything. John Cena shouted her out. ESPN had I didn't watch the video, but they have it right there from yesterday. When does trash talking cross the line? Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark. Now, I didn't watch it, but this is her talking talk. Trey. She was known for trash talks. Same thing here. She does that. And so Angel Reese does the same thing to her as y'all know she gave it back to her. She gave it back.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
And this, in truthfulness, is a catalyst that women's basketball needs because, as you know, people ain't watching that shit. Real men, we know we don't watch women's. This is real. Men don't watch this stuff. Nobody like to watch. Nobody like to watch ugly ass women, man, she's playing basketball. Real men, real talk. I'm not saying there are girls who are talented, women who are talented in basketball. I'm not saying that at all. But no, men like attractive women. Let's just keep it real. They like beautiful women. They like women wearing scantily clothed stuff. Sex sells, an old saying. So when you got somebody that's 6'7" and look like Barkley in drag, look like Screech and Jesse had a baby. Screech and Carrot Top had a kid. Nobody want to watch that. Like that's that girl that accused Cosby of doing something to her. Cosby, yeah, she was a basketball player. She looked different than what she looked now, but damn, she looked like she came right out of the cornfield from the scarecrow hook. Damn, like Bill, what you would think? What happened, man? You were going blind back then, bro. Andrew's probably watching, might tell Doc, but damn, I don't care. Tell him. But Angel was trash talking her, and she was unapologetic. And even I got to give Caitlin her props for this. They asked her about it, and she was like, she supported Angel. She came out and said she had every right to trash talk. She stated, this is what she said.
I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did. I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of hers. I don't think Angel should be criticized at all. No matter which way it goes, she should never be criticized for what she did. I think everybody knew there was going to be a little trash talk in the entire tournament. It's not just me and Angel. So, like I said, I'm a big fan of hers.
I don't think we look like. When is your next game?
Honestly, I have no idea. I was just trying.
I don't think we look like.
So she supported her and defended her. Now, what I want to bring up with that and how it ties into Keith Olbermann and also the First Lady of the United States, Jill Biden, because Olbermann opened up his fucking mouth when nobody asked him to. And I think this is a problem, especially with social media. Everybody has the option to criticize somebody now because they got this phone. But Keith Olbermann decided it would be wise to open up, and he tweeted this. And he got shredded. He called this girl, I quote, a fucking idiot. He called a college student a fucking idiot. And he wanted to backtrack what he said. And my man Dwan B did, shout out to Dwan. He did a video on it. He says, what a fucking idiot. Because of this.
And Angel Reese
This
knows
video
a ring
was shared. So he
is
saw
coming.
this was shared 20 million times. Doesn't matter. He says, doesn't matter the gender, the sport, the background. You're seconds away from a championship, and you do something like this and overshadow all the good. Mindless, classless, and what kind of coach does this team have? But after he got some backlash, he said, I apologize for being uninformed last night about the backstory on this. I don't follow hoops, college or pro, men or women. I have no idea about Clark. Both were wrong. And he puts this article up. And this is what he wrote and was going to share. But nobody is buying this crap. This was not an apology. He didn't apologize for calling her an, first off, he didn't apologize for calling her an idiot. He was not sorry for what he said. You see, and this brother wrote this right. Torang Walker said, too many people like you use being anti-Trump as a shield to mask condescending bigot mentality. Stand on your statement and stop this weasel behavior. This is not an apology. Dr. Ava says, the only people that won't remember the accomplishment are people like you whose knee-jerk reaction is denigrating Black women, Don Imus 2.0. Let's not forget this. Now, I call BS on that. He says he doesn't follow basketball, but how did he know about this? And Keith Olbermann was a sports commentator on ESPN. But how he got his start was, and I think Sam Jackson even tweeted, Sam Jackson actually tweeted back. He said, thanks for reminding us what little dick energy actually is, Keith. And people had to put this up to him. Because when Caitlyn did it, it was no issue. But when Angel does it, the world ends. And he says, I trashed Clark in the podcast and then tweet 2 of the thread. You didn't. He doesn't mention Clark. Nowhere in this does he mention Clark. And you look at it, the first thing he says in this thread is he calls this girl a effing idiot. And, they try to use this excuse that I hate Trump. Trump is bad. Trump ain't did nothing to me. The Democrats have been in office and in power for years in my area of New Orleans. And honestly, my place looks like shit. What have they done? You hate Donald Trump. You don't like him. And I'm not saying he's a good guy. He's not. But what have you done? When you go in court and it says state versus such and such, says state versus yourself, state versus Keith Olbermann, the judge doesn't ask you, well, you were hanging out with someone else. What did they do? No, the judge is going to look at what you did. The jury looks at what you did. Yeah, I know parties and stuff and functions. Yeah, they factor into mitigating factors. Oh, I haven't forgotten about Portnoy and what he had to say, but he got shredded. But both of these assholes got shredded. He called her a classless piece. I don't even know who the hell Portnoy is. I didn't want to give his ass. We talk about him. We're gonna give him unwanted coverage. But he called Angel a piece of shit. No. Yeah, he called her a piece of shit. Fuck him too. The anger is short dude from Boston. Well, that explains enough if he's from Boston. But it wasn't classist when Clark did it. No, he didn't have anything to say it. And I'm glad people are calling him out. Who's this piece of shit? Now this is little dick energy as well. And Jamel Hill told him, fuck you. Now I don't care for Black Yoda, but she's right on this one. I guess hell is frozen over. I'm teaming up with Jamel Hill. I don't know if I'm teaming up with her. We found common ground. they go in. Who cares what this piece of shit says? This is little dick energy. And now that brings me to First Lady Jill. What we're talking about with black women and how it's okay for one party, not the other, and they feel sympathetic now. They want to be the victim. You had Jill Biden. I'm tying this all in with Keith Olbermann because Keith Olbermann. Well, let me just say this: Shaq even had to call Keith Olbermann out. He called him. He told him to shut his ass up. And he needs to shut your ass up. But Keith Olbermann got his start, like I said, on NBC. And because of NBC, he was able to be anti-Bill O'Reilly. I remember when he had this war with Bill O'Reilly at one point. That's how Keith Olbermann got really his start. That's how I started to watch him because he was this liberal guy. But we all know what Malcolm warned about liberals and how liberals you got to watch more than Republicans. Liberals are even worse than the conservatives. They'll pretend to be your best friend, smile at your face, and stab you in the back. Like Malcolm X said, "Don't stab me in the back, and then you come along and just move the knife out 3 inches. Move it out 3 inches. It's still in my back." He was a correspondent, and let's be clear, he's been feuding for a long time with people. He's been suspended. He's been fired. He was on ESPN back in 2018. He had to comment on SportsCenter throughout the first half of 2018. So this stuff that he is stating, saying that he doesn't follow women's sports, he doesn't follow basketball, I have a hard time believing that. He had a series on ESPN that didn't last long. I wonder why. He was a baseball guy. But he used to correspond and do Football Night in America. That I remember. But he had a feud with Bill O'Reilly when he did Countdown with Keith Olbermann. And he used to say, you're the worst person in the world. He would fight Republicans and conservatives. It was mostly, and that's the thing we talked about with NBC and versus Fox. It's conservative versus liberal versus conservative. But that's how he got his start. And so he just been doing and producing a podcast for iHeartMedia now. And he would call people the worst person in the world. Well, you're the worst person in the world, Keith, for attacking a 20-year-old. It's them Bill Maher types, yeah. And you got to watch them. And that leads me to go to Dr. Jill Biden. Now, she's backtracked from this, but she had proposed that she wanted to see when she was speaking out in Denver, Colorado at a convention. She stated that she wanted to see both Iowa and LSU at the White House. She actually said this. She gave, and I'm not making this, it's been trending all across social media, all in the news, especially here in Louisiana, since this is where LSU is from, that a Biden, they clarified national champs LSU's White House invitation.
Big time name, though. Can you ask us how many times?
And what happened is First Lady Jill Biden said Monday she wants the defeated Iowa women's basketball team to be invited, in addition to LSU. But then on Tuesday, her press secretary appeared to walk back the First Lady's dual invitation. She was speaking at the Colorado State Capitol in Denver and praised Iowa's sportsmanship and congratulated both teams. And stated, "I know we all will have the champions come to the White House. We always do. So we hope LSU will come." She said, "But I'm going to tell Joe, I think Iowa should come too because they played such a good game." Well, here's the problem with that. Everybody plays a good game. The second runner up, if you lost, you don't get to be glorified. To the winner goes the spoils. There's a winner, there's a loser. There's no song called "We Are the Losers." It's called "We Are the Champions," like Freddie Mercury wrote. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. They're the champs. When Muhammad Ali beat George Foreman, not to say that Ali was invited to the White House, but Muhammad Ali was celebrated, not George Foreman. When Joe Louis knocked out Max Schmeling, Roosevelt invited Joe Louis to the White House and told him and said, "Hey, we need these muscles for democracy," before he had his second fight with Schmeling. He was the heavyweight champ. They didn't bring the challenge. And now, only when they did some racist sucker shit, like when they had a phone set up in Jerry Cooney's room when he fought Larry Holmes. That was great white hype. That was great white hype. And Larry Holmes whipped the shit out of Jerry Cooney. But they didn't want Larry Holmes to win. Now, this game was the highest rated championship record. It was a record TV audience. It was watched by over 12 million people, at least according to this, 9.9 million viewers. That's the highest in NCAA's women's basketball history. I think it's the highest in women's basketball history, period, whether it's WNBA or NCAA. They wanted to watch. So they are happy about this, and it's getting exposed. But even Iowa stated, and even Caitlin Clark said, this is LSU's time. She said, "I gratefully acknowledge this is the coach of Iowa, Lisa Bluter, who said, "I gratefully acknowledge the First Lady's sentiments, but a day at the White House should belong solely to the champions, LSU and Coach Mulkey. We would welcome the First Lady and President to come to Iowa's house, Carver Hawkeye Arena, anytime." Do y'all think, and here's the problem I have with Jill Biden's comments. Now they're trying to walk it back, but think of last year's women's basketball game. The last year's champion was the South Carolina Gamecocks. They were the champions. Did they even talk about inviting them and the losers that they played against? Who was the team that they played against? It was when South Carolina beat UConn. Did they want to invite UConn? Nobody was paying attention to this. Nobody was paying attention now. Let's be real. Nobody paid attention. It's only when the white girl, poor Caitlin, Missy Caitlin is so sad about that loss. We're going to have to give her a trophy. Yeah, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody participates, get a trophy. It's not that way. And she faced backlash, and understandably so. And maybe this has to do with, here's my thing too. You know that the election season is coming up. The Iowa caucuses is where the presidential campaigns start. All of that starts there, especially, I believe it starts like this year when they start to do the nominations, because next year is the election. Can't believe Biden, it's been over 2 years since Joe Biden has been in the White House. But everyone commented, and Angel commented on it. She said it was a joke. She said it's a joke if the First Lady wants to have Iowa and LSU. Because it looks definitely like they're doing it because they want to satisfy the white girl from her loss, from her getting whipped. Nobody was talking about this. She sat there and watched the game. She didn't sit there for the LSU player. She sat there for Iowa. So Angel said it's a joke. Now I will say this about Angel. Somebody shared a tweet she put out where President Biden praised LSU women's championship victory, and it was somebody I guess was disappointed in Angel. I'll just say this: she wrote, "My president." I think that she is young. Obviously, she's still learning, so some stuff she doesn't get. She don't understand just yet. Yeah, and her cousin Jordan Hawkins won with UConn yesterday. They're from the D.
Paved the way, man. We did it. And we did it.
It's incredible that you both won national championships. Did you hear from her before this game?
Absolutely. I mean, I wish her luck. Man, I'm going to see her in Maryland soon. So, hey, the cookout going to be lit.
You can show off your rings together.
Yes. I'm going to go cut the net now. All right.
Yeah, they got their ass whooped. Iowa they're forgetting something. And at least he could give Skip Bayless this and Shannon Sharp this. They didn't cover up for Caitlin, especially Skip. He was like, she fouled when she threw that basketball out of off the court. That's a technical. That's a delay of game. They do that in the NFL too. If you kick the ball when they try to reset it, they call a foul, a delay of game penalty. That's why she got the tech. She wasn't tossing it back to nobody. She tossed it off the court. Because she was frustrated. And you had Jasmine Conyers, who, in my opinion, Jasmine should have been the MVP because she came off and was shooting threes. Jasmine Carson was shooting threes like it was nothing. And she, 21 points. And she had been on the bench. She didn't even average, I think, not even 5 points in the season. And she just came off and was just hitting it. Boom, boom, boom. In just the second quarter. Them sisters put an ass whipping on them country girls. They brought soul to the court. Jasmine was just going off. She just got off. Look. Boom. She just got off like it was nothing.
Goodness, it's
Even the coaches jumping excited. Kim Malkin. That's an ass whipping. 17 points. Blow.
Iowa has to be going to the locker room wondering if it's just LSU's day. Coming off the
There's
screen,
no
just flings
INT.
it up there in time.
They won. They earned. They deserved. They got out-coached. They got outplayed. They were stripping all Caitlin was doing was shooting threes. They were stripping the ball from her. Ashley Morris outplayed her. Ashley Morris even commented, Troy Carter even commented on Jill Biden and said that if there was going to be, she stated flat out that she would not, that they would not go if they were going to actually invite Iowa. So she said she wanted, Ashley Morris said she wants Michelle Obama if we could celebrate at her house. Now, they don't understand. They only know what their parents have told them. And so the White House, they clarified it. But even Troy Carter, you know, he talked about it. He said that it should only be, and he knows Dr. Biden. He disagreed with her comments and says LSU national champs deserve to stand alone White House invitation. Yes, that's how it should be. They didn't win. Yeah, they can be outstanding. They can be great players, but guess what? There's no victories for going second place. If you're not the champion, you're not the champion. You lost. Come back next year and win. Guess what? You'll be back invited to the White House. And while second place may get a prize, it's not first place. That's the thing. So he said, I was no disrespect to the First Lady, to the outstanding players from Iowa. They did not win. The exceptional Louisiana Tigers are the undisputable winners of the championship, and this win is theirs and theirs alone. An invitation to the Iowa team would be at the expense of our Louisiana athletes. I know the First Lady meant no harm by commenting that the University of Iowa should also be invited to the White House, but her remark was an unintentional slight to the ladies of LSU and the citizens of Louisiana. I am respectfully requesting that these Louisiana champions enjoy the winner's circle alone. Yes, it was a slight. What you mean she didn't mean harm? Yes, she did. It comes off dismissive of LSU's accomplishments. Those black girls, you saw it was all black girls. Iowa didn't have but one black woman on their team, one black girl, and she was coming off the bench. Okay, what's your point? What was the final score? Michael Jordan put up 63 points in the game. He still lost to Boston. So what's your point? What all that means? You sound like a troll. You must be from Iowa. You shucking on that corn. You on that crack corn pipe. Riding Caitlin's nuts. What? Okay, she scored 30 points. And Jasmine Connor scored 21 points in just the second quarter. What's your point? Yeah, this was affirmative action that Jill Biden was doing. What is your point You keep bringing up 30 points. They didn't win. It was 100-85. What the hell are you talking about? What's the purpose of that? We know she put up 30 points. Okay. I never said she wasn't a great player. But what's your point? We're not talking about how great we're not talking about whether she's good or not. Yeah, she's good. Very good. What's your point? They didn't. We would be talking, if Iowa had won, we could probably be talking about Caitlin. She didn't win. What's the purpose of bringing this up? We're talking about what Jill Biden had to say. Do you think Iowa should be invited with LSU? Yes or no? Yeah, what's the purpose of it? So I just look at that, and I think it was a slight. Even on Instagram, Ashley Morris had to comment, and she said something about it. That's not her. She outplayed her. Ashley outplayed her. That's not her either. What? No. But yeah, the point is this is their victory. And I think it's disrespectful if they brought Iowa's women's team there. It certainly would be a slight. All lives winner. Yeah. Well, there's no I in team. You can be the greatest running back of all time. Look at Barry Sanders. Look what he did with Detroit. He put Detroit on the map. But they couldn't get it done because they didn't have the personnel. They didn't have the players around. So what you doing on Caitlin? You support Nebraska. Nebraska's not in the Final Four. You praising Caitlin. Shit, we ain't trying to praise Caitlin. But anyway, guys, what do y'all think about the backlash Dr. Biden faced on it? Could have been politically. Obviously, the Iowa caucus coming up, she might have been thinking of that. But I certainly believed it was a slight against Caitlin. A slight. You got me. Not 23.4. Now this dude got me talking about Caitlin. You got me mentioning Caitlin. 23.423. A slight against Caitlin. Do y'all believe it was a slight against LSU that Jill Biden would suggest that? I believe it was.